Go way back to the late 1960s, and you'll find a car that's the ancestor of today's formidable Nissan GT-R R35, the grandfather of Godzilla. It is the Nissan C10 Skyline, or to those in its army of fans, it's simply known as the Hakosuka, and the GT-R is the most potent version. Special is not a special enough word to describe it. This car is revered, respected, and loved the planet over.
And I'm going to meet it and drive it.
Yep, somehow we've convinced owner Kevin San to let us have a steer of his.
Oh God. If this guy knew me better, there's no way he'd let me do this. And here he comes. Kevin.
Richard?
Excellent. Pleased to meet you, man.
How you doing, mate?
Good, good.
Good to meet you.
So this is your 1971 GT-R Hakosuka.
It is, yes.
It's actually a replica, isn't it?
It's not a GTR. It's basically a hot rod. I guess if it was a Porsche, you'd call it an outlaw. It's not really a faithful replica of anything. It's just my interpretation of what a hot street Skyline would have been in the early 70s. So it takes a little bit from the race cars and a little bit from the factory models. Hopefully, it's something that most people like. I imported this from Japan about 10 years ago as a bit of a wreck, and it was a botched restoration in Japan. So everything had to be undone, and then I had to do everything again. It took about 2 years to get the car on the road. And since then, I'm still restoring it today. So this was originally the mom and pop 2000 GT Coupe, and it's been hotted up over the years in Japan to look a little bit like the race cars, the touring car race cars of the era. So it's got the spoilers and the flares and the big wheels. So it's a real little bit like the factory race cars from the 72 season. And then at some point, someone's hotted up the engine, and then it fell apart again and fell into disrepair and got shipped to Australia, and I fixed it up. You know, what I eventually discovered with the car was that it had some good bits in it, and someone had a go at restoring it, but certainly it wasn't a driver. It had some finger-tight suspension components, and it didn't run. And then most of the electrics had the opposite effect of what it was supposed to do, so it took a lot of diagnosis, and really everything in the car had to be redone. Originally, this is a 2-litre straight 6. Now this has been bored out to 3 litres, so it's 2,950. It's got 11-to-1 compression pistons. The cylinder head has had a lot of work done to it. It's been shaved, it's been chambers re-welded and reshaped. The ports have been enlarged and flowed. It's got a port-matched inlet manifold. It's got the 4040s, as you can see. It's got a 300-degree cam, so it works rally cam. And it puts out I would say an honest 250 horsepower.
250 horsepower. It's pretty decent for a car from 1971. So
it goes okay, yeah.
It's that time for me to drive your car. Are you happy to do this?
Maybe.
Okay. Might need your keys. Swap sides. All right, so let's fire it up. Here we go. Now, just on initial impressions, that clutch is very heavy. How good's your left quads must be enormous. Here we go.
Now it's a button clutch, so try not to slip it. But you'll find that the car will pretty much just take off with 0 revs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. Well, let's see how we go.
Here we go.
Is that the fuel pump I can hear?
That's the fuel pump.
Fuel pump.
If we stop hearing that, we have problems.
If we stop hearing that, we stop. Okay, so steering wheel feels quite low. I'm sitting in a race seat. Is this what brand of race seat have we
This is
got
a
here?
Recaro LS. It's dating back to 1990.
I detected a Recaro.
Yes.
I felt a bit of a
Yes,
Recaro-ness
yes.
going on.
It's an old school Recaro. I've owned it since 1991.
Oh, steering is pretty heavy.
Yep. Now you'll find steering is heavy. The brakes need a big fat shove. Everything is fairly consistent with your observations about the clutch weight.
Okay, here we go. Indicators.
It does have.
We've got indicators.
It does have them.
Now my knees are like right up underneath the steering wheel, and I can't actually fit my hand between the knee, my knee and the steering wheel. Oh yeah.
Well, the seat height I set up for myself.
Yeah, right.
So it's probably not super comfortable for you.
Oh, I'm so surprised at how easily it shifts. It's just such a really very short shifts.
Yes.
It's loud. It's very loud. I'm going to shift down. I can feel my ass can feel everything, Kevin. Now this is a 5-speed manual gearbox.
Yes.
You actually installed that yourself. It wasn't a 5-speed originally, was it?
This is a 4-speed car.
Yep.
But it came from Japan with the 5-speed. So when they embiggened the engine, they added the speed to the gearbox.
Yeah.
So with the much later gearbox, it's like a late 70s Nissan gearbox.
This steering wheel feels super tiny as well. I love it.
That is the sports
Oh,
option.
brakes.
Oh yeah, front brakes.
It doesn't stop straight away.
Well, the brakes work just fine.
Do they get better?
Well, they get better when you press them.
as you press them, they get better.
Yeah, I mean the remedy is to press the pedal hard. It's very, very low gear, which is why we're fourth in this one.
Yeah. It is. This feels like it's been sort of set up for hill climbs or drag racing.
Yes, it is.
Okay, this is a bit of a tight turns, the hairpin. There's a lot of mid-corner bumps around here, and everybody will know, or anyone who's into cars will know that mid-corner bumps are kind of the enemy of cars, although this has got independent rear suspension, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it does. I mean, she soaks up
Yeah.
the bumps pretty good.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
shocks and all that are set up to work at this ride height. So, for an old lowered car, she can handle the bumpy road.
Absolutely. There's something about this experience where it's like, it's half workout at the, oh my God, each corner that comes up, it's like my arms aren't ready for this yet. What gear am I in? Third, and into fourth.
Well, compared to a modern car, you find yourself having to think a lot more about
Yes!
your driving.
But it's corner. It's like you do.
Because a certain amount of your effort is actually soaked up in the physical effort in driving the car.
Exactly. You go to the gym and you don't have to think about anything or that you're lifting. Whatever the big heavy thing that you're trying to move in front of you is not going to kill you. This will. Into fifth gear. Oh my God, the sound, it's so loud. So very loud. So this is bored out now to 3 litres.
3 litres.
3 litre straight 6 that just wants to scream and scream. It's absolutely music to my ear holes.
The Datsun L series is really like the small block Chevy of Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, they're big and they're very strong, they're plentiful, and people have been tuning them for so long that building an engine like this is, I mean, there's such a proven recipe to it, and they're so robust that they can take this kind of revs. The bottom end is all stock. Now you're really focusing right now, aren't you?
That's the thing, you have to, like, it's actually, you've got to concentrate hard.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But that's part of the challenge of driving the car. I mean, you feel that when you get to the end of a winding road, you've contributed a lot
Oh yeah, you're.
to getting there.
Oh god, in modern day cars, you are a passenger. The
Yes.
steering wheel is basically a handle you hold on to.
Yes.
But you are really driving a car like this. It's like you are really driving a car like this. It sounds like a cliche, but it's a full-on sensory experience. My ears are popping. I don't know whether it's because it's so loud or whether it's because we're going up in altitude, but there's something about this car which it loves what it's doing here. Look, I've driven R35 GTRs and it's a real digital experience. Like it's brutal. You see a gap in the traffic and you think about being in it and you're in it. And it's beautiful, but there's something also so beautiful about this real analog experience as well. This is where GTR all began.
But you know what? I mean, like, you compare this to a more modern car, and the driving experience is completely different simply because it's so physical.
Yeah.
But and so it's like an antidote to modern cars because you've got that physical effort and the feedback and everything. But at the same time, whenever I drive a modern GTR Skyline, I keep getting reminded of how similar it is in character to this, because the GTR is like this really masculine character. It's got this bare knuckle Street Fighter character to it, and that's exactly what this has.
Yeah.
For 1971.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So this is, I mean, I've always thought if you had to sum up, have one word to sum up the character of this car, it's Godzilla.
Absolutely.
It's 1971 Godzilla.
This car is the original monster. There's about 2 centimeters of travel in that clutch as well. It's a tiny amount of travel.
It's a brass racing clutch.
Far out. There is so much to take in there. The steering is like Arnold Schwarzenegger heavy. You need Schwarzenegger's arms to turn the wheel. The brakes aren't there until you really step on them, and then suddenly they really are there. Handling is much better than I thought it would be.
It's good, isn't it?
It's really good. I mean, I've driven a lot of like Aussie muscle cars, and the steering is heavy, just like this, but they don't have the agility that this has. The turning in this is amazing.
Well, on the track, this is about as fast as a stock Delbert Rex.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Hang on.
At Wakefield, yeah.
Wow, amazing. Thank you, Kevin. This has been a really special experience for me.
It's my pleasure. Actually, you are one of the very few people to have driven this car.
Really. It's far out. Thank you.